Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Rippon. I am a figure skater. Thank you so much. In case you don't know, I was just at the recent Olympic Games. I'm a bronze medalist. A lot of people refer to me as an Olympic champion, which honestly is the greatest scam I've ever successfully pulled off. But I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I'm a Scorpio. So important. Growing up, I was really shy. I'm from a small town, and being a young gay kid in a small town was difficult. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt confused about who I was. I was always athletic. I remember I used to play baseball, and I wasn't great. I remember one time I asked my mom, "What do people look like when they faint?" Because I had this master plan that in the outfield, I would faint and they would have to take me out of the game. And so my mom was like, "If you faint, I'm gonna kill you." I didn't faint, but I was obviously destined for athletic greatness. But I started skating. It was something that I loved to do. It was something that I was so passionate about for the first time. And 6 years ago, I moved to California, and I moved with no money to my name. Actually, in fact, there was a Bank of America in this small town in California that I moved to. Hey, Bank of America. And I had no money. When I say I had no money, I literally mean not a penny to my pocket. And I walked into the Bank of America, and the only cash I had was 80 euros from an international competition I had done a few weeks earlier. So I walked into the Bank of America to the clerk and was like, "Do you accept these?" And that's how I opened a bank account. So you guys, thanks so much for accepting euros. But in those moments of having nothing is when I had to really own who I was and what I was doing. That it was my responsibility to take action. It was my responsibility to myself to do everything I could to achieve my goals and to achieve my dreams. 2 years after moving to California, I failed to make the Olympic team, and it felt like rock bottom. It felt like I had sacrificed everything and it didn't pay off. And I was like, this shouldn't happen to someone so beautiful. And I still don't get it. It's hard to talk about. But I'm kidding. Kind of. But when I didn't make the Olympic team, that's when I felt like I was at rock bottom. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I here? But in those moments, that's where I got my voice. Because I was at rock bottom, I had nothing to lose, and I only had everything to gain. So that's when I decided that I was going to be brave, and I was going to be fearless, and I was going to be authentic to myself. And that meant taking risks every single day, no matter how big or how small they felt. I remember in 2014, a big thing in the news was the anti-gay propaganda law in Russia. And there was a lot of pressure to come out and there was a lot of pressure to stay in the closet out of fear of your safety. And I remember that fear, and I remember that confusion of thinking how unfair that would be, and how unfair that is. And so in those moments of feeling at my rock bottom, I told myself, I have to be an out athlete, because I needed to be that role model that I didn't have when I was younger. And I knew that it was important to be that role model because I felt growing up I didn't relate to anybody who was out there. And I wanted to be that voice that I didn't have. And so I said, okay, I'm going to be an out athlete. And it motivated me and forced me to be the best athlete that I absolutely could, because I wanted to be the best representative of my community and of my family and of my country. When I think that in all of the craziness that's happened in my life since the Olympics, the best thing and the thing I wear most proudly are the disappointments that I've had, because they've turned me into the person who I am. I also feel that I'm very lucky because of having so much success later in life. I've realized what's important, and I've realized that if you have a voice, that you should use it. That we all have a voice, no matter how big or how small it may feel. Even if one person is listening, they are still listening. I've also learned that it's so important to stay true and authentic to who you are at the core. Most recently, I just saw one of my really dear friends, and she was saying, with all the travel you're doing, how do you stay alive? Like, how are you staying awake? And I said, I have a trick. My trick is when I go and I'm traveling, I go into the duty-free, and I use every sample of every cream and in my mind, I'm like, I'm brilliant. And she looked at me and she said, wow, you're still white trash. So you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still from Scranton. But that's why I felt it's so important to stay grounded to those people who really keep me me. And I've also learned that sometimes as a gay person, we feel only good enough to be a supporting role. And we feel that we can only be allowed to be the gay best friend, or the friend, or the Robin in the Batman and Robin. No offense to Robin. He's the hotter one. But I made the choice that I was going to be the star in my own show. And we all can make that choice, and we can be the star in our own show. We deserve that, and we owe that to ourselves to be our own star. People call me America's sweetheart because I told them to call me America's sweetheart. If you think anybody at NBC during the Olympics was looking at a 28-year-old gay man and said, let's just start calling him America's sweetheart. And they're like, Joe, that's a great idea. We're going to do that. We're going to put him on every segment, and we're going to call him America's sweetheart. No. I planted the seeds, and I saw the harvest. But we can do that. We all can do that. We all have that power. We all have that power to be our own champion. And I, for so long, didn't feel deserving of it, and I didn't feel worthy of it. And I finally told myself to go fuck myself. And it's the best advice I've ever given myself, because I got out of my own way. I had gotten in my own way so many times. But as soon as I was my own champion, I felt the power to be a champion for other people. And we all have that power. Especially now, in a time that is scary. Just today, the Trump administration announced that same-sex partners of foreign diplomats will not be granted a visa. That is unnecessary and cruel. Brett Kavanaugh is not fit for the Supreme Court. He does not have the temperament required to serve in the highest court of the United States. Times like this are when we have a call to action, and it's our responsibility. And I'm so inspired to be in a room with so many people who see and feel that they have this same responsibility. We must continue to act, and in November, we must vote. I am so inspired to be in this room today, and I want to thank Out and Equal for having me. You guys are incredible. Keep doing good. Keep being the role models that you guys didn't have when you were younger. You are making a huge difference to so many young kids. You're changing the world, and you're changing it one person at a time. Thank you guys so much for having me.